Hello, welcome to Comic Book Weekly, and we are here. It's just me and Brant this week. Mike will be back next week. He needed the week to adjust, and I think he's a little behind on his books, so I think he's going to take this week to catch up a little bit, and then he'll be on next week. But we have a lot to talk about. We have some good news. I'm surprised that there's some news pieces that came out because we just had San Diego. So I'm happy to see that we had some. But we're going to probably start with the news and then we'll jump into some comics. But how are you doing, Brant?
I'm doing well. It's a daily grind, right? Doing the
Daily
thing.
grind.
Yeah. Had a handyman over here fixing some holes today, so we got all that patched up finally, and so good.
That sounds like a solid day. Anytime you could accomplish something is always a good day. But hopefully, I see people in the comments already. Tevia, we already answered the mic question. So you guys could rewind in 2 seconds and you'll find out where Mike was. But we have some other people in the chat. Comic Universe 1100's in the chat. So thank you guys for showing up. So let's get into the news. We're obviously going to save the Venom piece for the end of the news, but let's get into some media stuff. So first is that Bang, Mark Millar's Netflix project, actually has some details attached. I don't know if Idris Elba was attached before that, but he's in this movie. Netflix canceling everything, but at least they got this.
Yeah, I mean it's good casting. I remember enjoying the first couple of issues. I think I fell off of it, but I remember enjoying it when it first came out, and I think that's a really good casting choice for that. So I don't know. I'm gonna try it out. See if it's good. So.
Tavia asked, any opinion on Green Lantern live action still being alive? Not really. I'll try out the first episode. I mean, they probably spent a lot of money on it, so they're like, oh, I guess we got to release this. Or maybe it's good. Who knows?
Maybe. Hopefully. And that's always what we hope for, right?
That is all we could hope for. So, but not a huge opinion because I don't feel like we have that much information about the show for there to be a true opinion. Mike Manhattan asks, did you hear Mark Millar is only charging $1.99 for his next comic? That's wild because he's literally giving that book for free if he's only charging $1.99 because the printing.
Yeah, if you're Mark Millar, you can charge $1.99. Exactly. So no, that's
honestly,
cool,
that means more people will pick up the book later. So it's a strategy to use. And like you said, Millar, like he could do it. He's somebody to be like, okay, let's see if more people pick up my book for this. It is definitely an interesting strategy.
Absolutely.
Man Cave, we will answer that question soon, but I just want to say hi, Man Cave Theater. But let's get into the next thing, which is Punisher making a comeback. This was actually announced at kind of C2E2. Dawson, how do you pronounce her first name? Is Rosario Dawson. She had a panel and let it slip that they're filming something with Punisher, which I don't think anyone should be too shocked because, Daredevil's coming back. I'm curious if that means like Luke Cage will come back, Jessica Jones, like are those characters also coming back?
It was funny. I don't know if you saw that they updated the article and she tried to walk it back. She tried to be like, oh, I got some bad information from a fan, but I really wanted it, so I was excited and I just went with it. It's like,
yeah, no, that's definitely no. That's she just dropped it by accident.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, I honestly haven't watched the Netflix Punisher series, so
I only saw the first few episodes, or maybe I saw the whole first season. I don't remember.
That's one I think at that time I was just like kind of done for a bit and I didn't even try it, sadly. So.
Yeah, I think I had a second season as well. I think there was 2 seasons of the show. I don't remember. It was a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on to IDW has a couple of projects on development for I think TV and movies. It might just be TV, but of course you have Dark Space Wildfire, which is the Scott Snyder book that's going to be adapted. Okay. There is The Delicacy, which is a James Albin graphic novel. Rivers, which is going to be created by Dan Berry and David Gaffney. Ballad for Sophie. Brutal Nature. And those are the 5 that's in development. The only one I'm familiar with is the obviously Scott Snyder book. And it looks like, let me see if he's writing. They don't say who's going to be like attached to the project. They're just saying that there are projects. And I don't know, it's just cool to see, this company a year ago was just like, oh, we're doing, work for hire books and wasn't doing any creator owned stuff. Now they're one of the bigger names for creator owned books.
Yeah, kind of going back to their roots with that, and that's cool. You love to see that. But like you, the Scott Snyder one's the only one I'm familiar with, and I actually did not get a chance to read that one yet.
I read the first issue. I wasn't a huge fan of it.
Okay.
It wasn't my thing, but I thought the concept was interesting. So maybe in a movie it will, translate a little better.
Right.
All right. Well, let's move on to that's all the media news. So we are going to move on to some comic news. This is interesting, probably for me and Brant. But Vault is doing Kickstarters now, which is really cool. So that's like kind of huge. Like that's definitely one of the bigger companies in publishing right now. It's like a lot of people always say it's like the A24 of comics. And I just think it's interesting that they are doing Kickstarter and just showing that platform could grow even further.
Yeah. It's exciting to me to see more publishers, especially at that level, kind of diving into the Kickstarter game and realizing what kind of a resource it can be. It's interesting that, from what I understand, they're, at least at first, they're like focusing on deluxe editions and that kind of thing. So that's cool. Mm-hmm. Do something a little bit different for fans of their books and introduce new people to the books with this special edition. So.
Yeah, and also like bigger books means a little bit bigger value on Kickstarter too. It's a little harder to make money with the floppies. Like if it's a 22-page book, it's a little harder to garner a bigger price tag. But with the deluxe editions, you might be making $100 a tier. You never know.
Right.
$100 a backing, if depending on how deluxe they are.
Sure.
Tevia's got a little wrong information, but he says, any opinion on Valiant Comics closing down? Not closing, but there are people that have left. I don't know the situation, so I can't really say. I do think it's interesting to see all the comics moving in very different directions. Every day there's a new story and a new gear that's turning to change the industry.
Yeah, I haven't heard a whole lot about this either. Some newsletters I follow were talking about it. Are they failing, that kind of thing. Of course, that's what people are going to start talking about. But I don't have any information either, so I don't want to speculate. It could just be a time to kind of step back and figure out what's working, what's not, and come back again. So
yeah, and also it's a company that's been around for a long time, so they maybe want to reinvent themselves. All right, well, let's get into Planet Hulk gets a sequel. It just seems like Marvel is just doing every big title they have had in the past 20 years. They're like, I guess we should retouch this and do something with it. It's like our topic from last week, the nostalgia topic.
Yeah, for sure. That's the first thing I thought of. The only thing is I really like Planet Hulk is like one of my favorite stories, of that era for sure. And just like one of my favorite comic event kind of stories. And it's like the original writer that did that.
I was going to say that was the one good. There's probably plenty of good things for this, but that was the one that caught my eye. I was like, oh, they got the original creative team. This actually could be a really cool sequel.
Yeah, exactly. Not just capitalizing on it, but actually bringing that team back and doing something with it. So hopefully, it'll live up to that hype and stuff. And I would like to enjoy Hulk again, so that could be the way to do it. But I agree, though. It's just like our topic last week. You said where we're relying a little bit too much on the nostalgia and stuff. But it hasn't been that long, so maybe it's not as much of a throwback. Or maybe it's been longer than I realized. So I don't know.
It's been a long time since that book came out.
Yeah. I don't remember exactly.
We do have a couple of questions here. Mike Manhattan says, is DC still charging $4.99 for these comics? I think most of them are $3.99 unless you get like the variant cover is $4.99.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're $4.99 for
I'm
the
not
most
sure.
part. Consensual Sense Slot says, how is C2E2? Great. Had a wonderful time. Best con of the season thus far for sales. So very happy with it. And we very much want to do next year. So it was
That's
really
awesome.
good. Yeah, no, it was a good convention. And luckily next year it's going to be in March. So it won't be during this crazy time of all these conventions happening. Because that was the one we were very debating to do the show or not, because we're like, oh my God, we're doing 5 Comic-Cons in a row, but we're like, all right, let's try C2E2. And yeah, no, it just ended up being such a great show and sold a lot.
I remember it used to be in like March and April, traditionally. So, okay, that's cool. Maybe
it's gonna be the end of March.
Okay. Maybe we'll try this time. we tried this. We actually got in and we just couldn't make it work, unfortunately. So hopefully next year will be the year.
Yeah, and that'll be even less than a year, so that'd be really cool too. So you could really get a second try on that one. So I would love that, because again, it was a show that I knew that people liked a lot, and I was like, oh, cool. And I haven't done a repop show in so many years, so I was like, oh, like it's a repop show. And just everyone I talked to, like right before we were selling things, everyone's like, yeah, this is the best show I ever go to, like so good. And you're like, all right, let's see how good it is. And then Friday usually you're there making like sense, because Friday no one's there. We made ... and we're like, oh, this is Friday, okay. And then Saturday came and was like, oh, it can't be as good as Friday. And then it's like, oh, and Sunday came, we're like, oh, and it just ended up being a really good show. So
that's no, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say it was interesting too that Artist Alley truly felt like an Artist Alley. A lot of times when like shows we've done in the past, I was no name dropping shows, but like shows we've done in the past, it's been like, here's Artist Alley, and it's just kind of there to get to the celebrities, and everyone you talk to is like, oh, I want to get this autograph from this guy, or and that, from a celebrity point of view, or even like a big comic name, they're like, I'm just here for this one autograph, or to get like try to make my book more, profitable. But this convention, truly, people at Artist Alley like came to buy books, which
that's cool.
It's been I've never been to a convention that was this much about comics. And that's what I really liked about it.
That's really good to hear, because I get really discouraged by those kind of conventions too. There's one we went to a few years back in Houston. It was a Comic Palooza. At the time, the way they had it set up, you could only get in one way. And you came to like all the vendors, and people spent a bunch of money at the vendors. And then there was Artist Alley in the middle, and it was like bottleneck. So it was like this big space, and you got this tiny little space where Artist Alley is. And then the celebrities were past that. So it was really just through traffic from the vendors to the celebrities. And we would just get some stragglers here and there for the most part. So it was not great.
Yeah, no, that's like, that happens at a lot of shows, and that's what was like the biggest worry. And because you gotta hustle a little bit more and really convince people like, hey, this is a book you should check out. And this one, there just was less convincing. It was just like, hey, you want to check out this book? There was like one guy, I was like, I usually say, hey, do you like comics? And then he like kind of started walking away, and I saw like a Moira X-Men print. I was like, oh, I see that you like comics. He's like, all right, you've convinced me. And like, I was just trying to go down the running my pitches, and he's like, I'll buy that. And I started telling the pitch again. He's like, no, I'll just buy that. And I was like, he's like, I like your hustle. And I was like, oh, cool. Here it is. And like, that was like a good example of like, people just wanted to support. Like mystery boxes, they tend to be like what we sell, are a little bit a heftier price. And we ended up selling like 10 of them. And I was like, whoa, okay. So it's just like people want to support, and that was really nice. So I very much enjoyed it. And it seems like from the fan perspective, there's a lot there to offer too. I didn't really get to go see the floor that much, but from what I saw, and just the Artist Alley, I just was blown away. I just thought everybody that was there was top tier as well.
Right. Tizzy the Great said Comic Palooza was bad this year. Yeah, we didn't get to go this year, so that's sad to hear. I was hoping it would be better, but
or is it good to hear because you missed it?
Well,
we have a lot of other questions here too. Thank you for the question. I'll be at Boston Fan Expo this week, so I'm just doing Comic-Con after Comic-Con. So if you guys are in the Boston area, go check us out. We'll be there. We're driving there, so really, if you're going to be there, say hi. We want to see people. All right. Well, we also have Mike Manhattan said, have you guys seen Sandman? It doesn't really seem like my thing. I'm not
Hmm.
gonna watch it, but
I watched the first episode. I've never read
Mhm.
anything Sandman in my life, and we actually we enjoyed the first episode. So
Oh, nice.
yeah,
Okay, so you guys, but it seems like a little bit more in your wheelhouse because it's a little
yeah,
bit more
yeah. It's
fantasy driven.
right. It's definitely more our thing than your thing, I think. So,
Yeah. Another question from Mike Manhattan. Are you guys gonna pick up Donny Cates' new book, Vanish? Yeah, for sure. I want to check that out.
yeah, I usually pick up Kate's stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. He's always solid. Um, a lot of cancellations and no love for Artist Alley. Also, poor miscommunication. Damn. So that was for that
Mm,
comic Palooza show.
yeah, sounds like not much has changed since I went. So that's
All
that's unfortunate.
right, well, we're going to jump into the next comic news piece, which is Superman Returns with a one shot. So, the reason I wanted to talk about this, I'm just glad that DC is giving the love to actually like make this an event. I was more expecting he would just appear in Action Comics
Yeah,
and Superman, and we would have to like kind of
right,
figure out when it was going to be released. So,
right.
it's nice that there's a starting point where this is going to happen.
Yeah, and also that they made an effort in the description and stuff to say that they're going to tie this in and explain Dark Crisis and why he can be there and all this stuff. So I thought that was cool. You know, it's okay. You're bringing him back in big fashion, so you can get people to jump back on, and you're explaining all that and making it tie together and make sense. So yeah, I'm on board with that.
Yeah, for sure. I'll definitely pick it up and see what it's all about. Next up is that She-Hulk gets a new digital comic retelling her origins, and it's written by Rainbow, who is currently writing She-Hulk. I think this is cool. There's a part of me is like, I wish this was a physical book, so I would want to see Rainbow's perspective
Yep.
of this, and I'm not going to get it digitally, so it's like, oh. And also, I think it's more of an help to people who are in a comic book shop wanting to read this, because people are on this Marvel app knows comics. They are already the people that probably already know She-Hulk's origins. The people you're
Yes.
trying to grab is like the people that might be at a comic book store because they want to get Pokemon cards, or even better, do like the Barnes and Nobles or wherever to
Yeah.
Alamo movie theaters to give these comics instead for the people who actually need it.
Yeah, exactly. That would be a great thing, just like this little giveaway. Even yeah, well, no, physical is probably better. But I was gonna say, like, even if it's like something that they offered on Disney Plus, just somehow
For
view it.
free.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, some way to bring people in and say, hey, this is who She-Hulk is. Check this out.
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree. What do you guys think of the Superman Returns movie? Am I the only one who likes that movie? I remember
Maybe.
the first time I saw it, I fell asleep multiple times and I've never seen it again and I hated it.
I did not like it. I think he did a good job mimicking Christopher Reeve, but that's as far as it goes for me.
Boring movie. But Brandon Routh, good guy. Liked him
Yeah.
in Legends of Tomorrow. All right, moving on to one that was almost our title for this week, which is Mary Jane and Black Cat getting an ongoing book, which, yeah, most anticipating this because last year, me, you, and Mike, one of the best books of the year for us was the one shot, the Beyond one shot, and was probably the best story of that whole entire run was that. And I'm glad it's going to be the same writer doing it. I think that's really cool. I think my only worry is like the state of Mary Jane and Black Cat in the current book. And then also like where Black Cat is in her own book. Like, is this going to be another one where it's like, I don't know how any of this connects?
Yeah, exactly. And especially since there's that time gap that we still haven't gotten explained in Amazing Spider-Man. So it's like, when is this taking place? Where, I think we need more details about what the actual book is going to entail. But I'm still excited because we did really enjoy that. And I was hoping that something like this would happen. So hopefully it's just like its own thing. We can just kind of follow it, have fun with it, and there you go. So
it comes out in December, so we don't have to wait tremendously long for it. But definitely one of my most anticipated books of the year after hearing that one. Now let's start talking about our main topic, which is Donny Cates hinted and pretty much said at a Marvel panel at C2E2 that he is returning to Venom in some shape or form. We don't really know what that is. If it's a short story, I'm guessing it's not going to be the main series where he's going to like take that over again. But but great. You know, I didn't really read his Venom run that much. I read towards the end of it. I 100% respect everything he's done with Venom. He did something different. He made people pick up that book. Yeah, and I hope he continues to rock that. And great for the Venom fans. I'm happy to see it. Although there's part of me that says, you left a year ago. Why are you coming back already?
Well, I mean, maybe the current one isn't doing it. Who knows?
That's true.
But yeah, like you, I kind of jumped around. Like I started it, I didn't really get into it. Then I tried it again, and then Mike just kept telling us, "Oh, it's good, it's good." And finally, you know, when they started ramping up to the King in Black stuff, I jumped on board and really enjoyed it from that point. But yeah, it's exciting. You know, hopefully it's a cool story, and it, you know, brings some wayward fans like myself back to the character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I'm curious to see what this is going to be all about. Donny Cates, how many projects has he done in comics? A lot. But I feel like he's become a bigger writer in the more recent years. Like I feel like with someone like Donny, like he just ended up being on Venom, and he I guess pitched a really good book. But before that, like he did have like indie books and stuff, but that's how he became a big name. Like I feel like he didn't have like a ton of books before Venom. I'm actually really curious to see how many books he has.
I think Baby Teeth was the one that like really put him on the map, right? And got him more work and stuff. Or was that after? Yeah.
And he did Redneck too. I know that's a bigger book. So Redneck, Baby Teeth. God Country was a big one as well.
Big one, yeah.
That all happened in like recent years. It wasn't like, oh, here's this. I'm so curious to see like what his first book was. I'm actually looking on Comic Vine because sometimes they do it by date. Because like I feel like he hasn't done it for a tremendous long time. Oh, no, 2016 actually he had one.
Yeah, it looks like he did some short things for Dark Horse in like 2013, like, you know, probably like a little one-shot story, stuff like that. And then looks like 2016, 2017 is where he really started getting a lot of work.
Mm-hmm. So it's just interesting. It's cool though. We saw another question here. It's from Mike Manhattan. Is the Kickstarter for Inferno Girl still open? I don't have to wait till January to get in stores. It's been closed for a while. That was like a year ago, and usually Kickstarters only last 30 days, which is kind of like the cool thing about Kickstarter, and what makes it different is that you only have 30 days to purchase. And why you should jump on to Kickstarters when people announce it, because then you could have gotten the Kickstarter edition. So with Kickstarter, you got to be fast. But yes, in January, the full book will be coming out.
Yeah.
And then we got What's Up from Aggressively Relaxing. And then Boy says, my only problem with the current run is the art. I only read the first issue, so I can't tell you anything on Venom. This is a good question. Figure Drawing X. Pardon me if you talked about this already, but have you all seen Prey? I've heard this is such a good movie. I've just recently seen Nope. Yeah, and I don't even like Predator, so I'm like, I genuinely want to go see it. I wanted to see Nope for the longest time. I literally just saw it this week, so I'm a little behind on my movie watching. I also want to see DC Super Pets, and I haven't gone to see it. But we might watch Prey next week, so I'm hoping to get to see that soon.
Yeah, I've heard, you know, some people are saying it's the best Predator movie ever and all that stuff. But I'm not a huge Predator fan either. So it's like when I saw it as a Predator thing, I was like, I don't care about that. And then, like you said, everybody started talking about it. And it's like, oh, maybe I should watch this. So maybe I will.
Yeah, it seems like it's just a good movie. It's like at first I was like, oh, it's just a Predators movie. And maybe they're just saying it's just a good Predators movie. But it seems like it's a good movie overall.
Yeah.
Let me see. Figure. Joseph kind of has a different opinion though. Prey's good in some parts. And Willie says they heard that there was good reviews, and then Boy says Prey is solid. So there you go. Okay. But yeah, that's all the news. So we can jump into some. Speaking of Kickstarters, if you want to pull up your Kickstarter first.
Yeah. I don't know why I closed it. I always have it open. For some reason I closed it. But give me just 1 second. Here we go. Share screen. And there it is. A Steampunk Carol, Festive Nutcracker retelling from the team of Luca and Lorenza. And we just hit 250 backers, I guess, like after I started the show. So that's really cool. And we hit 5 figures today. So that's awesome as well. We still got a little over 2 weeks to go. But if you are a fan of the Nutcracker, it is a steampunk retelling of the Nutcracker done in a beautiful artistic style that we just can't praise enough. It's just a beautiful looking book. And yeah, there's not really much to say beyond, it's a Nutcracker story with some steampunk elements in it. I'm trying to get down to one like little contraption out of that page right there. You can start to see some of the steampunk stuff, but a lot of the steampunk stuff didn't make it on the page. So you're just going to be surprised when you see even more beautiful art depicting this. But yeah, we're open till August 26th. Here's a closer look at some of the covers. We got 3 covers available. It is a 86-page graphic novel, and you can check out all the rewards on the page as well. So go check that out at lastnumberpress.com/Carol, or just search for A Steampunk Carol on Kickstarter.
Nice. And this week I also premiered a Kickstarter. So it is the penultimate issue of The Dancer. So this is a full-on mini-series. It's a 4-issue mini-series about a dancer/assassin. When she was little, she witnessed her parents being murdered in front of her and never dealt with that trauma until now. So if you're looking for some good action, we got some action here. And we're getting to some revelations soon. So issue 4 changes it all. It will change your perspective on the book. So hopefully you guys go check it out. This is the moving GIF that Brant made. Yeah, go check out the book. We launched 2 days ago. Would love to get to 200 backers before the end of the night. That would be a cool milestone. And we're also very close to funding. So we're about like a little less than $1,500 away from funding. So hopefully you guys could go check out the project.
Very cool.
All right. And now we're jumping into the comics for the week.
Yeah, let's do it. Some comics. There we go. I don't know that I have a solid top 5, so I'm having a hard time ranking my books, and I did it last minute, so we'll see what happens as we go through these. But we're going to talk about some big books before we get into those top 5. And the first one we're going to talk about is Edge of Spider-Verse, #1, which we were a little hesitant about. So.
Yeah, and once I read it, I realized that I don't need the rest of this. So.
Honestly, I thought the first story was okay. I liked the Aranya story. The rest of it I didn't care about.
Same. The Aranya story, I was like, oh, this would be really cool in like another book, because it's like, oh, this is a mini series of her own, and like she got to tell her own story that was not connected to a retelling of Spider-Verse. That would have been cool. It's like, because she's a character we don't get to see very often, and I want to see her be developed even further. And I like Alex Zagara as a writer, and I wanted to see more of that story. And then as we got on and on, I'm like, do I need a Spider T-Rex? I don't think so. Right. And then again, it's just like, I've seen Spider-Verse 10,000 times, and the only Edge of Spider-Verse story I ever liked was Spider-Gwen, and they keep trying to capitalize it over and over again. I'm like, we just don't need this, and I don't need to get more issues, and I will just wait until Dan Slott has his new Spider-Man book to pick it up. Yeah,
no, I agree. I did appreciate the way that she got the new costume, because usually you just be like, oh, magic, boom, new costume. And, hers got torn up all apart and stuff. But still, I don't really need it either, unfortunately. So it's just like you said. You pretty much said all I could say about it as well. So
are you picking up issue 2?
I don't think so.
I'm curious if Mike would.
Yeah, he probably will.
I'm done.
I don't know, is it the same stories, or are they telling different stories every issue?
Different stories, yeah.
Okay. So I guess it would depend on who the characters are then. Like if it's somebody that you like or something, but I don't know. I'm curious now. I got to look up and see who's in.
I think there's a lot of new characters. I think they're like trying to introduce new Spider people, from what I understand.
Yeah. Well, I mean that kind of makes sense.
Radio Vid said Noir was a pretty great thing to come out of Spider-Verse. Noir was before Spider-Verse, though, so he's not actually created from Spider-Verse. Before, actually. Yeah. So the only thing I still stand to is Spider-Gwen that came out of Spider-Verse.
Yeah, it looks like actually we do have a little Spider-Gwen in the next one. It looks like maybe.
Oh, do we? I'll just read that.
Yeah, Spider UK. which kind of looks like a Captain Britain, and a mini spider, and what is that one? Tara or something? I don't know. But yeah, no, I just don't think I need it. I'll just wait for the other as well. So
yeah, no, I still feel that way. Even Spider-Gwen, I'm like, I like you a lot, but how much can you do in this one little story that she's gonna have?
Right. Oh, just lost my headphones. Not used to these things yet. Yeah, and it's they're just throwing her in there to sell the book too. So they'll probably have one character that we really know from each one. So this was Aranya. Next will be Spider-Gwen. Maybe Spider-Punk's the next one. Who knows?
Yeah, no, I agree for sure. Okay, let's get into the next book now.
Yeah, so I know you were excited about this one. We both were. New Champion of Shazam, or new Champion of Shazam #1. So what'd you think?
Good. I
Yeah.
loved it. I just absolutely.
I know you did.
This is what I want comics to be. Yep. It was just so good. I just like that you never had to read any Shazam. I think it's very easy to jump into. I like that if you do like Mary Marvel as a character, they really get into her nuance a lot. And then I liked where she was going. I liked her voice. And like I said, I just wish more comics were like this. More comics gave opportunities to characters like Mary Marvel. People that, people know who she is, but she's not a Superman or Batman who's ever going to get 20,000 titles. So I'm glad they gave her a shot and told a really good story. You could tell that this person just had a really cool pitch. And again, I just wish we had more comics like this.
I really enjoyed it, and I like all those aspects as well. I don't think I loved it quite as much as you did, but it was a really good story, and I really enjoyed it. And I told Lisa, thinking about it and thinking how it was structured and everything, I was like, I think you'll like this. So I think she's going to let me know
what she does.
Yeah. It seems like kind of her speed of things too. So I think she'll enjoy it a little bit more than I did even. So.
Yeah, I just thought it was just an easy book, and I'm sad it's only 4 issues. Like, oh damn, I wish we were getting more of it.
It's completely new reader friendly, like you said, and so like if you don't know anything, you can jump right in. The only thing you might be lost on is like, why is Shazam trapped somewhere? But they do a good enough job to explain that away. So yeah, I thought it was good. It was solid. It was a great first issue.
I agree.
So. Yeah, getting into our number 5s. I don't have my number 5 yet, so go ahead.
What's yours? My number 5 is out of just because it's not actually, a great book. It's a fine book. Yeah. Dark Crisis issue 3.
Okay.
It's fine. I think it's like, again, this is out of circumstance. It's in my number 5, but I like the art a lot. That's why it's a number 5 pick. I also think for an event story, it's cohesive, because most event stories are not. So I'm like, I understand what story you're trying to tell, and I appreciate that. I think they try to have character beats, even if there's like maybe too many characters. It's not a perfect event by any means, but I like it a notch better than I expected.
Yeah, I thought this was a better issue. This was probably the strongest issue of the series so far. But I agree with you. There's a lot going on, but I liked the beats with Black Adam, especially like, trying to kind of take the Young Justice League in a different direction, and then almost backing down to John, which I thought was pretty interesting. And then of course the cliffhanger at the end piqued my interest quite a bit. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was a solid read. All right. So I'm going to go with the default one as well. And I'm picking this one purely because of the format, and it's a 20XX Transport #1, or it's a one shot.
But I remember the cover.
Yeah, so it's interesting. It's from Jonathan Luna, who did like Girls and stuff like that. He did this thing where he went on Twitter and had people vote between 2 choices for certain panels throughout the book as an experiment. And so he produced 2 pages a week. And anyway, so he puts the choices at the bottom of those panels right before you turn the page and see what the actual winning choice was. So it was an interesting way to structure the book, and it told a cohesive story. It was an interesting story about I think they're called Sims. So certain people have like telekinetic abilities, but you have to either be registered or you're hiding it. And so one of the kids on the bus has this. And that's kind of where the story stems from. So I just appreciate the format and experimenting with that. And I thought it was cool. And it turned out a pretty solid story. So
I was going to ask if you were going to read the next issue. And I remember you said it was a one shot.
So yeah, I thought it was like a mini or something too. But I noticed when I was listing my books that it was a one shot. So. All right.
Oh,
so
we got a $5 super
sweet.
chat. From Supreme Omega on Kamala mutant thing. I fear retconning her into a mutant will take away focus from JC and her supporting cast. She'll be tied down by X-Men and Krakoa. We don't. I mean, they hadn't even announced that there's gonna be a season 2 though. So,
I have not finished it, so I didn't know. I didn't know that was a thing.
I have not finished it either, so I heard about it, so I was already spoiled. But there you go.
I mean, it makes sense. The only reason that they went Inhuman was because Fox had the rights to the X-Men stuff, and they couldn't do anything with mutants. That's the only reason. Otherwise, everybody would have been a mutant, and we would have never heard of the Inhumans in the MCU.
I feel like it was one of the most least successful things about the original Miss Marvel book was that she was an Inhuman. Because remember, there was that like Inhuman arc because of what you were just saying. They're like trying to really make Inhumans a thing, and the only thing successful that came out of it was Miss Marvel. And they're like, we don't really want to do Inhuman stuff, so we won't. And that pretty much is what happened, which is what made her successful, is that they didn't really touch them on it.
Yeah, they pretty much ignored it, and the powers that she had when she first went through that process completely changed. So yeah, because I remember when she came out of the pod, she transformed her entire appearance and looked like Captain Marvel for a little bit. So, yeah.
Thank you for the super chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So interesting discussion that though. All right, our next big book is Batman number 126. I personally did not like this issue as much as the last one. So
I could see that. The first issue was like great, because there's like, whoa, this is just a new chapter. This I still really liked because I think the action was really good, and I liked that the Bat family was involved. And even though we've seen this story a billion times, Batman being unhappy, I think there's just a little twinge of an angle that we hadn't seen before, and really getting in his head a little bit more and saying, once I feel like Batman saying, I might not have to be happy, but I still want my family to be happy. You never really hear him say that. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the action's really good. The art's really good. And because the entire Bat family was involved, it was like, okay, we took that webtoon and then did a serious version over here. And I thought that was a cool touch. And it's something I want to see more of. You got to see, I mean, Duke was in this. It's like we never see Duke. So, yeah, I appreciate that. And I still think it was a solid read. And it's not in my top 5. It's just below my top 5. So, I guess I forgot that one, but oh well. Anyway,
maybe in another ranking, it would have been in your top 5.
Yeah, I was still trying to sort everything out, but I could switch it with something easily, but I'll stand by what I got here. So
I like it.
Yeah.
We know you liked the book.
Yeah, I did like the book. Just not quite as much as 125. All right, next big book, The Dead Lucky, number 1. What'd you think?
I thought it was okay. I am going to get issue 2.
Yeah.
I'm not the fan of the futuristic type storytelling. I think they leaned a lot into that. So I respect this book, and I think it has a lot of potential, and I want to see where it goes, but I didn't love it as an introduction.
Yeah, I don't know, like parts of it, like I didn't understand the powers and where they came from.
Either.
Yeah, so that was a little confusing, and I don't love the I appreciate it, I understand it, but I as a reader, I don't love the PTSD from the war and stuff like that. When I'm reading or watching something, it's just not something that typically interests me a great deal. So that took me out of it a little bit. And the talking to herself, I understood, but talking to herself right in front of people about them was almost like she's narrating her life, was a little strange to me. So I don't know how I feel about that, but yeah, it was okay. I will get the second issue. I love that universe. So I definitely want to keep trying stuff there, but yeah, this one didn't quite grab me.
Yeah, and I'm surprised because I felt like everything that I heard of,
Yeah.
it felt like it checked all the boxes, but
Yeah.
didn't love the execution.
Right. So we'll see how it goes, though. All right. Moving into our number 4s, then. My number 4 was Dark Crisis, which we already talked about. So.
Mine was at a default dead lucky, so art was good.
Yeah, it was. All right, so our next big book then is Dark Crisis. So we've already talked about that. So right into our number 3s. What was your number 3?
Mine was Power Rangers. I thought this was a better issue in this run because they did reference Forever Red, which was a big episode of Power Rangers where like all the Red Rangers came back and they did like a pink version of it. And we got to, in Kimberly's head, a little bit more of like, oh, like who am I amongst all these Power Rangers? And I thought that was pretty solid. I still don't really like the art. And I don't think this is as good as what Power Rangers has been, but I think this is a better issue of this run.
I didn't like this issue. But I don't have any, I didn't read at that point. So I don't know what was going on. And I was a little confused and lost by that. I agree about the art. And I do like the stuff with Kimberly, though. I did like that, and that she came to a different revelation and conclusion than she had been thinking. So I appreciate that. But yeah, I'm not loving this so far. But it looks like Power Rangers, which comes out tomorrow, is going to be pretty solid. So
yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah. All right. So my number 3 was actually, surprisingly, Immortal X-Men number 5.
That is surprising. I'm so curious to even know what's happening in this book.
Yeah. So it's tying into the Axe Judgment Day stuff.
Okay.
But if the entire event was written like this book, I'd be more on board with it. I thought this was solid. It was completely focused on Exodus, and it was kind of him in his head because they were under this psychic attack from the Eternals. But he was like reliving his past and how he came to be with Apocalypse and how he came to be with Magneto and so on and so forth. So it was kind of if you don't know who Exodus is, you got a really big insight on it. And they actually made him a really compelling character in this issue, which I really appreciated. And I thought it was really solid storytelling. I just wish the rest of the event was like this, because everything I've read that's tied into this so far reads like that first issue of the main event, and I don't like that. So, but this was solid. I liked it.
I'm glad something good came out of the book. Yeah, and something good came out of this event.
Exactly.
We do have a couple questions before we jump into the next thing. Well, first is this comment: I'm ready to scale back on comic collecting now that Comic-Con came and went. And then Radio Vid says, is any of you trying Demon Wars or Teen Justice? I know you like Teen Justice a lot more than I did, and I don't think any of us are reading Demon War.
I don't even know what Demon War is.
It's a Peach. The person who does the covers. That person has done like a whole series of books.
Yeah, I haven't read that stuff. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Mike tried it.
I think like a first issue. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but I don't think I even tried it at all. So, but yeah, I'm enjoying Teen Justice.
You did like to? Did issue 2 come out at all?
Issue 3 was this week.
Wow.
So, yeah.
There we go. We have Tavia asks, how would you fix John and would you get rid of Jay? No, I would not get rid of Jay. I don't think he's the problem in the book. I think the way their relationship is written might be the problem. I do think we should. I just think there could be a little bit more nuance to their relationship. And the way I would fix John, I'm not a big fan of the plot. I wish there was more like Superman plot, just fighting some classic villain or fighting Lex Luthor or something like that. I'm not really into the group that Jay's a part of. Has bored me to tears.
Yeah, absolutely. John is fine in other books though. Like he was good in Dark Crisis this week. It's the story. We got another super chat, it looks like. Yeah,
thank you for $10. That's really great. Thank you. On Kamala muting retcon, I was referring to the comics. I didn't know they were doing a muted retcon for the comics. I worry because G. Willow Wilson left. Her supporting cast has been done dirty, mind wiping the mom's memories, having Zoe betray Kamala, etc. think it all just depends on the right creator. I know that they're doing a Wolverine and Miss Marvel book next week or this week. I don't think Zoe will be in that issue, but you never know.
and it's part of a 3-part story, right? So like the next one is like Moon Knight or something like that after that. Yeah, I didn't know they were doing the retcon in the comics either. I don't know how they make that make sense.
That would be really confused by, because how do you one day say she's Inhuman and I know she's maybe she's both. I could see that maybe, but how could she's also like 6, but I guess she's the right age to like unlock her mutant gene, but like wouldn't that have happened already?
Yeah, it should have happened already, or unless I guess they could explain it like, oh, she thought she was turning Inhuman, subconsciously, so she created this cocoon somehow.
That would be very interesting. Honestly, that's the only route I would want to see it go if it had to happen. When it comes to like the supporting cast and all that, I feel like you just have to give Kamala an ongoing book to do things. And I don't think that's their priority right now. I think they're like, the show's doing well, but we don't really, there doesn't seem to be a lot of room for young adult comics in Marvel right now. I don't think they're really aiming for it because there aren't any.
They focused on it for a while and then they all went away. So who knows what's happening? I mean, there's no more Champions, there's no more, this and that, Agents of Atlas, all that stuff.
Young Avengers is a digital book.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so it's like there's the closest the thing you got is like She-Hulk, and that's only because Rainbow wrote Runaways, so that's the closest I could feel to a book like that, which is sad. And I think that's why like I do love Marvel and there's books I like, but I think that's why maybe 2 years ago there was a lot more Marvel books I enjoyed, because I just feel like there's a lot more diverse audiences that they were trying to aim for, and I don't know if they're doing that right now.
See, Boy says Strange Academy is literally there. It just ended. Or it has one more issue. I think it just ended. At least for now. I think it's coming back like soon, but it took a little break. But yeah.
And even the way it's written, it doesn't really feel like a young adult book.
I mean, yeah, I think at the beginning it did, but as it kind of veered into what was going on with Doctor Strange and the Magic War and all that stuff, and now they're split and at war with each other and all that stuff. There's elements of it, but they got away from a lot of that. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
it is a good book.
At least there's something, though. At least there is that book. So I'm glad you mentioned it in the comments.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't even know what we're up to.
We already talked about our next big book, which was Mighty Morphin. So we're into our number 2. So mine was the new Champion of Shazam. So that was my number 2. So what was yours?
Mine was Batman. We already talked about it.
All right. So our next big book then is Stillwater number 14.
I'm so
You're so done?
Yeah, I think I don't want to drop it because it's so close to ending, but I really have no enjoyment reading this anymore.
For some reason, it's become one of those books that is like, I don't want to say it's a chore to read, but I have to work myself up to read it. And when I do read it, I enjoy it, but I don't there's not that love that I had at the very beginning for it. So
Are you going to continue reading it?
Like you said, it's so close that I just kind of want to see it through. And
the main character's not even in it.
Yeah, but with the cliffhanger we got on this one, it's like, okay, that's interesting. I think they're about to reveal some new mystery to it. It's kind of the impression I got. So I'm curious to see what that is. Maybe.
How many issues are left?
I'm not sure.
Let me look it up. Stillwater.
Yeah.
Ending. Let's say comic.
Yeah.
There's like a movie. Oh man, when does this thing end? Return for the final arc this May. So we know this is the final arc.
Yeah.
So I guess it'd be like 4 or so issues. So I guess I have to see it through. But
yeah,
I'm just every single time I read it, I'm like, why am I still reading this?
Maybe just let them stack up and then just read all of them at the end.
Oh, then I'll never read it. Yeah. Knowing me, they'll just be stacked up in the abyss.
Yeah. I'm staring at a stack right now, just like that.
Stacked into the abyss.
Yeah, I just want to see it through, but I can't say I'm enjoying it.
Mhm.
So they lost me a little bit, I think, when everything caught on fire. Just everything changed, and okay. So anyway, but I guess we could talk about this issue. They expanded into Cold Water. They got all those citizens on board, and then they had this cliffhanger. That's basically your issue. Not a whole lot happened. So
not a lot.
Yeah.
We also have a question from Tevia, and I think another person asked about this, but who do you want to take in charge of Miles Morales now that the lead is ending his run? I didn't even know that was happening. I must be on another planet because I did not hear about it. But you guys should. Did he like announce it on Twitter? Where did he talk about it? But
yeah,
I don't know. Anybody wants to take it over. I don't have I don't have anyone in mind for Miles Morales, honestly. Just know I like want a new creative team.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who should take the reins with it. The current arc is decent, compared to like what came before it. So I'm actually enjoying it a little bit, but it's alternate reality kind of stuff. Oh yeah, now it's on Twitter. Thank you. Yeah, so I don't know. I'd have to think about that one. I just want somebody
like.
good.
Oh, go on. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Jeremy Whitley, who did like Unstoppable Wasp and like a couple like Future Foundation, like has done stuff with teen heroes. I think would be really interesting. Like someone, because I was trying to think of like who is good with teen, like maybe like a Kelly Thompson, like someone who's known for doing things with teen heroes.
Yeah, I'd like to see Kelly Thompson take a crack at it. I'm trying to think of somebody else. Like, oh man, I don't know.
Carla, who did Spider-Woman, could be really cool.
Oh yeah, no, that would be good. Completely different vibe, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kind of get back to the basics with Miles and Gonki and the supporting cast. Kind of take him back to the basics and scale down like the big level stuff that he's been dealing with. So I don't know. Who do you think?
Yeah, let us know in the comments below.
Yeah. All right. So I guess on to our number ones then. So I'm guessing yours was Shazam.
Oh yeah, no, mine was Shazam. Easy.
So
I gave that 5 stars. Freaking
nice. Wow. Awesome. So you'll be surprised to hear that Multiversity Teen Justice actually is my number one.
I don't know if I'm surprised because then I heard you said, "Oh, it came out this week," and I was like, "I didn't." I mean, I'm glad you're liking it.
So I really like the first issue. The second issue was a little bit underwhelming for me, but this issue picked it back up. And the story structure in this one was really interesting to me because you had basically kind of two parties. You had one character off on her own, and the rest of the characters kind of trying to break in to save Troy, who had been taken by the Brotherhood, or I forget the blood, whatever. I can't think of what their name is right now. The cult. He's in there with the cult. Raven Soul Self is trapped in there too, and he's trying to get to Troy to save him, and he's fighting with the team because he's in the other realm, and they're dealing with all that and trying to come together and bring Raven into the fold so they can rescue Troy. All the while, Aquaman is on the Star Sapphire's planet trying to find out what happened to them because they all disappeared. And in this version of reality, the Green Lantern Corps are the evil ones. And there's like this plot where they were trying to get all the Corps together, and she's trying to investigate that. And she goes through a portal and ends up face to face with the rest of the team. So it's like these two sides of the story converge. And it was kind of interesting to see that take place. It was kind of like the Stranger Things little groups coming together at the end. So it was kind of cool the way that came together. Sisterhood, Radio Bit says. So I like it, and I think I think they've done a really good job of introducing you and kind of building up each of these characters. Even though you already know versions of these characters, I think we've gotten the feel of each one of these characters individually just through these 3 issues. So I think it's a really good, really interesting series. So,
I'm glad you're liking it.
Yeah. All right. So that's all our top 5 and all our big books. So I guess we will go on to most anticipated now. Excuse me. I'm losing my voice for some reason. All right.
You're that emotional about
about Teen Justice. Yeah.
Teen
So
Justice.
emotional. Yeah. So we've only got one book that's the same this week, which is
I'm shocked.
Yeah.
I'm shocked. And it is in the same placement.
It is. Yeah. There's not a whole lot that I'm like super excited for, but there's some stuff I'm anticipating. I'll talk about that. But let's go with your number 3, your top 3. What are your?
Mine is Miss Marvel, and one of yours was actually really close, but Miss Marvel and Wolverine issue 1, just because I just want to see what they're doing with this character these days. I don't know. I'm not excited. I'm anticipating, right? Because I know how this game plays. I'm sure it's just gonna be an okay issue, and it's just a random team up. But there's a part of me is like, oh man, they'll do something interesting with this, and Wolverine's really cool with teen female dynamics.
That's
so
true.
I'm interested to see what that will be about. My number 2 is Power Rangers issue 22, because we're getting so close to the finale of Ryan's run and this issue 100. I'm just curious to see where this is going. And then number 1 is Parker Girls issue 1. It's the kind of continuation of Strangers in Paradise from a new view. It's Tabby and I think Cassie is her name, her girlfriend or partner. So I'm curious to see it from a very supporting character point of view. And we see Parker Girls was always a big stamp and staple of Strangers in Paradise, but it's never dived into maybe the extent that this book could.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like you knew that Ketchu was involved, and then you got to know a little bit more about them as the story went on. But yeah, seeing it from this perspective is going to be really interesting, and I'm looking forward to that quite a bit. So, but I'll circle back to that. My number 3 is Unnatural Blue Blood. Number 2, which I really enjoyed the first issue, and the cliffhanger was she started bleeding this blue blood from her nose at the end, so that's happening all over again. And I thought the first series was really good, so I'm excited to see it back. Number 2 is The Deadliest Bouquet. Number 1, I'm just excited that this is coming out through Image, and it was a really successful Kickstarter book. And I'm excited for the team, and it's Corolla Borelli who does Lisa's Bloom Pretty as well. So
same reasons why I'm excited for that book. I just think it's so cool the Kickstarter books are coming to Image now.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Parker Girls is my number 1 as well. So already said I was excited about that, so looking forward to that quite a bit.
We do have a question.
Terry Moore fans. That's all I was going to say.
Oh, yeah. We love Terry Moore, and I just love everything he's released. We do have a question from Thomas D'Onofrio. Do you think they will make any changes to Kamala's character in the comic to reflect her being a mutant in the MCU? I don't know. Honestly, I'm not sure. Again, if she had an ongoing book, it would be a lot easier to answer these questions.
Yeah. Like I said, it seems like Marvel is like going all back to mutants, and Inhumans you barely hear about anymore, in comics or otherwise. So I wouldn't be surprised, is all I'm going to say.
The name changes says, I really want to get into Strangers in Paradise. Follow Terry Moore on YouTube. Yeah, Terry Moore has some cool content on YouTube. And Stranger Things has an omnibus. So, I mean, it's a little pricey. But save your money and you could catch up with Strangers in Paradise. And that's how I read it. I didn't read it I could not read it issue by issue. I don't even know if I was alive when the first issue came out. But I read it through the omnibus, and that's how I read it all.
Interesting enough, Lisa's the one that got me into Strangers in Paradise. She read it. She didn't love it, but she enjoyed elements of it. But she had all the digests, and she mailed them to me. This was like way before we had even met in person. And she mailed them to me and let me read them. And then I gave them back to her in person the first time we met in person. And so that's a cool little story. One more thing between Lisa and I. So
it's kind of crazy that he's still for the people that don't know in the crowd. That's what's interesting about Terry Moore is that he's been continuing this for such a long time. Like he's just so invested in this world. Like most people get tired of the thing that got them famous.
Yeah. All right.
And I think that's it. So we are going to start wrapping up and seeing what's coming up for everybody. So Brant, besides Kickstarter, which you could plug again. What do you got going on?
Yeah, definitely go check out a Steampunk Carol on the Kickstarter. Beyond that, well, no, I just said the word that I shouldn't have said, because my podcast, Beyond the Fire, is a new episode. We recorded it was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday, I think, or Sunday. I don't remember. But anyway, it's coming out tomorrow. Already edited, ready to upload and all that stuff. So that will be out tomorrow. Lisa and I will be talking about a Steampunk Carol, but we'll also be talking about some video gaming we've been doing lately, including VR and some TV we've been watching. So fun stuff there, and life stuff as well. So go check that out. You can follow at Last Number Press on social media to get updates on when that exactly goes live and how to get to it and all that stuff. Aside from that, just the Kickstarter, and that's pretty much it this week.
Cool. For me, check out the Dancer Kickstarter. Like I mentioned, I'll put a link in the comments there. And then also, like I mentioned earlier, I'll be at Fan Expo Boston this weekend. So say hi if you are in the area. We're making it seems like a United States trip this August. But yeah, go visit us in Boston over there. And then tomorrow I'll have my best comics of the week, as I always do. So go check that out as well. Other than that, hopefully Michael will be back next week and we'll have the whole crew back. Of course, go subscribe, press the bell button so you have notifications when we go live. But if you don't press the bell button, just know every Tuesday at 10:15, we'll always be doing, I want to say 10 p.m. Eastern time, but it's not. Yeah. It's 10:15 p.m. Eastern time. We go live. So if you want to catch this live, then I'll also follow all our social medias. And of course, that always does help. So thank you guys, and see you guys next week. Bye. Bye.